Hey, my topuses, I'm trying it out. I went to Universal Studios in Florida a bit ago, which is why I didn't post anything for 2 weeks, whoops. And I rode like a bunch of rides and stuff, and I thought, hey, I can turn this into a video topic. I mean, I did take those 2 weeks off, so I shouldn't let them go completely to waste. For some context, I am 100% a Disney kid. I've been to Disney World many times and Disneyland once. I'm very familiar with these parks, their histories, their layouts, and their attractions. With Universal, I knew nothing. I mean, I knew there was Harry Potter and Jurassic Park, and that's about it. But after fully experiencing these parks through 4 days with park hoppers, yeah, I like this place. I definitely prefer Disney's attractions and themings and food and etc. But Universal doesn't try to bleed every last penny out of you with the worst app I've ever seen in my life. So it pretty much balances out. Spoilers ahead, and without further ado, let's talk about the Universal Studio. Just to clarify, I'm ranking all the rides that I rode, okay.
Autobots, transform and roll out!
Out of every ride in Universal, the only one that I genuinely cannot find any reason to ride at all is Transformers. This ride genuinely has nothing going for it. Nothing at all. This ride is very screen happy and 3D happy. 3D is not good in most rides, with one exception we'll get to later. The story is not followable. I guess we're like in a Transformer trying to keep this thing from Megatron. Okay. The ride vehicle is just the SpiderMan vehicle, but that ride's way more fun and has a better theme and better riding and is genuinely just more enjoyable in every single aspect. The only moment I felt anything was at the end when you see Megatron's corpse because it was practical and pretty cool. I think I discovered why Bumblebee is the most likable character in the series. He's the only one who can't spout the most tediously boring and basic dialogue imaginable. I guess I could recommend the ride to Transformers fans, but even then you have to like the awful Michael Bay movies, which most people don't, so yeah, just skip this one. Okay, although Transformers is definitely my least favorite ride, it's actually the third worst ride, technically speaking. It just made me feel nothing, so it gets last place. But Jimmy Fallon is the actual worst ride at Universal Studios. Stay tuned to find out what second place is. Teehee. This barely counts as a ride. It's essentially a glorified show. You sit on a bench. It wiggles a little to make you feel like you're in the show, racing Jimmy Fallon through New York. This ride exists to stroke the ego of Jimmy Fallon and nothing else. The only genuine enjoyment I got was when Tom Kenny appeared and was likable. You know, he does that. And I did get a lot of ironic enjoyment and, like, feelings, so that's cool, puts it above Transformers. The queue line is the coolest part of the ride, 100%, like, there's some genuinely interesting memorabilia here. I'm done talking about this, so let's move on. Oh yeah, we went to the moon, and he wrote a thank you note to the moon, and he thanked the moon for turning dirt to stardust, and then he blew it in our faces. How is... Oh, okay, he wrote a thank you note to the moon! We're moving on.
Monkey.
Out of all the rides that had a ton of potential, Kong was easily the most disappointing. King Kong 2005 is a pretty good movie, and I have a real soft spot for Skull Island, but this ride is kind of very boring. You're on a bus, and you go through the jungle, seeing various monsters and scenes from the 2005 film play out, and Kong saves you. There's a very cool animatronic at the end. Oh yeah, also this ride is 3D, yay! And this one really did not want to be. It kind of detracts here more because the cool Kong animatronic is kind of obscured because you have the glasses on. And there's an animatronic in the queue of a worm that ate Andy Serkis in the movie. It's pretty cool. A kid barked at it. But the rest of the queue is nothing really to write home about. No, I'm struggling to think of things to say. Oh, here's one. The ride has probably the best exterior in the entire park. The temple is really cool and the mountains look really good too. Really neat. I wish the ride was as good as the aesthetic of the outside. Also, I cannot say this again, but a kid barked at the worm in the queue line. That was weird. Hulk sucks. This was actually my first time ever going upside down on a roller coaster. My review? Genuinely unpleasant and disorienting, and it kind of ruined it for me. It's a feeling that I do not recommend if you're someone who gets sick easy. Not to mention, this ride beats you up. Like, there's this one bit where my head was bouncing on the restraints. I had to physically will myself to stop it. I ranked it this high because I can clearly see a ton of people like it, but yeah, I'm not riding this again. Also, no, I didn't ride the Velocicoaster, and I will if we go again, but it didn't look particularly fun. I don't like feeling like I'm not secure, even if I technically am. My brain is wired in a way where it's just all I can focus on. That's definitely more of a me problem. Anyway. The high in the sky trolley, the high in the sky and the okay. The High in the Sky Seuss Trolley train ride takes the cake for the most obnoxious name of any ride, haha. This ride is harmless, it's got cute Dr. Seuss references, and I like the bit where it goes inside that restaurant, and it's actually a restaurant, so you can see people eating, but like the People Mover at Disney does that, and it's longer and more fun, it has more instances of that, and yeah, this ride ends really abruptly. It had a weirdly long wait and ended before I was like really getting into it. Perfectly fine, but nothing to write home about. Okay, here's where we start getting good. The Stormforce Acceltron is a blast. It's very simple. It's basically the teacups, but with rave lights and rock music, and it spins you hard. Like, you'll probably get extremely sick on this, but I didn't. I had a lot of fun. It's only this low because of technicalities. It's not complex or well-themed or anything, but, like, I just had fun with it. Yeah, nothing else to say. Let's move on.
I declare bankruptcy!
Escape from Gringotts is easily the ride I'm most mixed on. It probably is the best queue line in the whole park, perfectly replicating Gringotts, complete with the goblins. It's super detailed and fun. The build-up is immaculate, and then the ride is really Like you see the scene in the movie with the minecarts, and then the actual ride isn't that exciting. It's basically a few show scenes with screens that have exciting transitions. The bit where you're going from scene to scene and is an actual roller coaster is very fun, but these bits are really, really quick, and the show bits are nothing special. It's another example of Universal really relying on screens in 3D too much. Nothing looks convincing, but it's enjoyable.
I'm so excited!
The Cat in the Hat is one of the greatest horror experiences of my entire life. It shook me to my core. The story of two unhappy, neglected children being chosen by this demon. Much like actual demons, he presents himself as friendly, tempting. He's a funny talking cat. What could go wrong? Everything is the answer. The beast unleashes his storm of chaos, wrecking the house. The talking fish, of course, represents the voice of reason, but even he is flushed away by the beast and his disgusting minions, Thing 1 and Thing 2, who are these true, horrific monstrosities. As the night gets more chaotic and unhinged, I began to feel fear unlike anything I felt before. I would take being flooded out of Colorado any day over this truly scarring experience. At the end of the sick party, the beast takes his leave, reverting everything back to normal, much like how people can present themselves as perfectly normal when in reality, they are truly broken inside, deeply changed, as proven by the fish, who now takes a much happier outlook despite being subjugated to so much torture. He is broken. What's truly fascinating is that this is the only ride where you can't see anyone else in front or behind you unless they're directly sitting next to you. You're completely alone in this house of horrors, and it really adds to the effect, and I applaud it, and I hope this monster never inflicts suffering again. Hogwarts The Forbidden Journey is Harry Potter highlight reel, the ride. There's no cohesion here. We literally go from the Quidditch pitch to the Forbidden Forest to the Chamber of Secrets to the forest again. It's bizarre. But I did enjoy it. My dad hates the ride vehicle, but I quite liked it. It was a bit jerky, but it felt pretty fun. Practical effects were great, and thank the Lord above they removed 3D from the ride, because as is, it didn't make me motion sick, despite a lot of people complaining about that. The queue was really cool too, walking through Hogwarts, and in fact this goes for all the Harry Potter areas, especially Diagon Alley. Feels very surreal, they're so well themed and immersive, it's like you've stepped into the movie. Now I'm more of a Star Wars guy, so I probably like Galaxy's Edge a little more, but these are great. Oh yeah, Forbidden Journey is a pretty good ride that I recommend if you have the stomach. Okay, we've reached it. This is probably the actual worst non-Jimmy Fallon ride, but with that being said, the Fast and Furious might be the most fun I had on any ride that isn't in my top 4. No, you know what? Actually, no. It is the most fun I had on any ride that isn't my number 1. Let me paint the picture for you. You enter in the most unexciting queue imaginable. A turdy car garage. You enter the pre-show room, where an employee has a conversation with the Vin Diesel squad, and he is hamming it up and completely making fun of the dialogue and the story and everything. It's hilarious. And then instead of going directly to the ride, you enter a second pre-show room where there's another employee who's also making fun of the story. At one point, a character reminds us to silence our cell phones so the vague bad guys can't track us. And the employee responds with, "But you just called us!" in the most convincingly exasperated tone I've ever heard. Apparently, cast members are encouraged to make fun of this ride, and I think that's hilarious. Nobody likes these stupid car movies. Why are there 10 of them? Then we get on the ride where the first half is a third pre-show! It's just a scene playing out as we sit perfectly still, where the worst dialogue and acting you've ever heard plays out, including someone getting the name Pricklepuss. At this point, I was completely sold. And then the real ride starts, and you're just driving through the most unhinged action scene I've ever seen in my life. At this point, I was just cackling maniacally. It is truly hilarious. Something explodes and you get splashed with water for some reason. 10 out of 10. Ride it, I beg you. Okay, now let's talk about a bunch of rides that are better than Fast and Furious, but I don't like as much as Fast and Furious. The Hogwarts Express is such a cool concept. The two Harry Potter areas are split between the two parks, so how do you easily get from one to the other? The Hogwarts Express, of course! Such a cool, super immersive experience. It's a bit annoying that you have to be in a car compartment with other people, but it's very fun nonetheless, and I get why they have to do that. It's expertly themed, and of course, things that happen are neat. The windows show all sorts of cool stuff, his screen, the door, you see the things, and that's not Emma Watson, what? Now, the two rides you take are different, and I gotta say the one to Hogsmeade is better. I mean, the Dementor attack alone props it up a lot, but the other ride is cool too. Anyway, yeah, super cool concept, done about as well as you could do. Let's move on.
Buzz-looking alien! Where?
E.T. is a very cool, well-done dark ride, especially for the time. You're basically going through the climax of the film with E.T. and your bike, right? Okay, but then you freaking go to his planet, and this is some of the weirdest crap I've seen in a theme park ride. I can't tell if it made the ride better or worse, but it certainly made it more memorable. You don't just forget those creepy mushroom people and plant people that E.T. apparently saves? Then to top it off, he says your name at the end, which is pretty cute. He only pronounced mine correctly. But I'm not that proud of that fact, man. Old rides are so cool, especially really well-themed dark rides, baby.
Oh my gosh, my favorite one! Aquaman!
Okay, before we get to the top 5, I'd like to give an honorable mention to Poseidon's Fury, which isn't a ride, but it's worth talking about because, well, it's closing down forever really soon. It's a walkthrough attraction with a lot of good theming and practical effects, and the ending is delightfully corny and terrible, but kinda liked it for that. A product of its era, or the era before it came out. But anyway, I just wanted to bring it up because it's very unique and memorable, and it's a bit sad something so interesting is disappearing. I highly recommend doing it if you can before it vanishes forever, and if you can't, well, look it up on YouTube because it is neat, and I'm very glad I did it.
You didn't say the magic word.
Jurassic Park River Adventure is the only ride I knew about before the trip because I watched videos of it a ton as a kid. It's really fun, and you get freaking soaked at the end. Holy heck. Great stuff. Again, old ride's good. I kind of want to spend the rest of this blurb just talking about really cool Jurassic Park Discovery Center attraction, which they didn't need to go this cool with, but I'm glad they did. There's a ton to look at and do, with the easy highlight being the interactive egg thing, which all looks fantastic. I love sci-fi buttons. I'll do Velocicoaster next time, I promise.
You serious?
SpiderMan is such a sweet ride. Again, basically Transformers, but great. It's so dang fun, and given when it came out, incredibly ambitious in advance. It also has the single best blending of screens and practical effects in the entire park. This one part where Hobgoblin throws a bomb and it blows up a bridge, but it's like actual fire, it looks really dang good. Also, the ride is so charming with cheesy Spider-Man dialogue, crazy action, all the villains you love, except I have no idea who this weird orangey Venom is. Like, please tell me, who is this? The way the theme song is integrated in the final battle is so fun, the effects are great, and the fact Stan Lee's voice at the end is very fitting. I haven't done that Spider-Man ride at Disneyland, but something tells me it won't beat this. Sorry, Tom, I love you, but this ride just looks kinda silly.
Oh, that's hot. That's hot.
Men in Black is fun as heck! Quite literally everything about it is ludicrously fun. The queue line is fantastic, another example of putting you directly into the movie, and it's so cool. I mean, they put the worms in it, come on. Yeah, it's dope, and the ride itself is basically Space Ranger spin, but up to 1000, with better theming and actual animatronics and a lot of cool effects. Plus, the creativity here is sweet. Like, they establish that you can shoot the other riders and spin them out of control, but it's unclear why you'd need to do this. But then it's revealed that the other riders are alien imposters, so you gotta shoot them right now. Such a fun idea done to perfection, and even though it's a bit bit dated. I don't know, beats having a million screens and 3D glasses. Yeah, I love this one. Also, Will Smith is here, and he's a completely controversy-free figure who is definitely not banned from the Oscars forever. That's funny. The Mummy had absolutely no right to be this great. Not only is the ride super fun and exhilarating, you know, good coaster and whatnot, but it's such a cute meta-jokey aspect to it. Way ahead of its time in that regard. Now you can't escape epic self-aware humor. But here, wow, does it work. It's basically a joke about being a movie tie-in ride. And the ways it does this are so fun. The queue is super cool, the ride looks like it ends halfway through, and the Mummy kills the operator and banishes you to hell. That's cool. And then the main actor is murdered by him at the last second. A great ride. Like no, it's absolutely charming as fun as heck, but like we all know what number one is. Hagrid's Motorbike Adventure is so cool. Not only are you on a motorbike, which feels extremely comfortable and exhilarating, but so well themed and fast. No ride quite embraces pure unaltered fun like this one in every way. There's stuff in this ride that I'm not even sure how they pulled off, but I'm so glad they did. The theming is incredible, Hagrid's dialogue is endlessly endearing, like don't pretend he isn't the best character in this franchise. There's no screens outside of the pre-show, and it's blissful. There's so many animatronics, it goes so fast, but that doesn't disorient me beyond belief. Cough, Hulk, cough. Yeah, no notes. Everyone knows this is the best ride, and it might be better than any ride at Disney World, honestly. Space Mountain was my all-time favorite coaster, but it might be beat like this. The satisfaction here plays a big part in it, but anyway, yeah. That's it. Universal is a cool place, and I'd recommend it to all theme park enjoyers if you haven't already been. I definitely still prefer the Disney parks, but this was very fun, and I look forward to doing it all again one day. Bye!